These three little saucelets were looking to build themselves a house as they turned into sauces. So one sauce says, hey, why don't we move to Saucylvania and build us some land there? Before you knew it, one saucelet went to go scan the land. All right, you saucies. We're not here to play. So, you can either get down or lay down. But either way it goes, you're going down. I don't know what y'all talking about. We up here just cooling for real. This is our kingdom. We built this. Duh. A wise man once said, nothing at all. Now I'm going to say this one last time. You can either get down or you can lay down. Now, I'm telling you right now, this ain't what you want, youngin'. This ain't what you want, buddy. We've been up here for 20 plus years. Y'all don't stand a chance. But if you try to build your throne where my throne is, we're taking you out. See? We're not here to take your throne. We're here to build our throne where you reside. And then from there, we're going to build our kingdom. Now it's time for you to get down and stay down. Yeah. Oh. All right, guys. Time to take over. Well, it feels pretty good to be up here, but we need more. We got to expand and scale. So let's just focus here for now and build our few houses and then expand. What are we eating for night? What are we eating for dinner tonight, guys? I don't know. Just as long as we get something that we respect our taste buds.
You are now watching the best show in the universe. It is called The Anthony Rogers Show. You probably wish that this was your show. But it is not your show. It is The Anthony Rogers Show. Tell everyone you know to watch this show. Enjoy.
Welcome back to the greatest show in the entire universe. Today we have a legendary rapper, Evan. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? Damn, you call me legendary. You're my best friend now. We're best friends.
We got it. Well, that's awesome. So, Evan, I've been annoying him on Instagram for a second. Our schedule's finally lined up. He did a song with, I think consumers probably think this is dope. I think it's dope anyway. Did a song with Snoopdoog recently.
Yeah, bro, I did.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I was really excited. It was a series of insane events that kind of just led me to that opportunity. And who am I to do it? So put in the work, and we put in the time and the sweat, and I'm glad with what came out. Definitely.
No, it's crazy. Congratulations. I mean, that's a big deal in music. I think Snoop Dogg's a fucking legend, man. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Yeah, that's young as fuck. Good for you out the gate doing shit like that. That's awesome.
I appreciate you saying that. I feel like, especially in LA, it's very easy to be like, nah, I'm like an old boy in the game now, because some of these kids are coming up like 14, 15. You're just like, yo, like straight fetuses drip down in VB, like flexing on you at every party. It's crazy. Not that any of that's happening now, with COVID,
Yeah, I remember going outside.
not partaking. You feel me?
I remember what it was like to go outside.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been cooped up? What's it been like?
No,
for you
I'm just talking
since-
shit. I'm just making fun. No, I didn't. I don't. I'm from Missouri. We don't take that shit seriously. We're immortal out here.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I feel like because I was in St. Louis pretty recently, and it definitely seemed like people were like trying to kind of get back to a new normal.
Yeah, St. Louis cares way more than the rest of the state. The rest of the state's like, I don't fucking care. But anyway, back to the fucking interview.
Sorry, that's kind of what happens. Is I get sidetracked a lot.
That's what a podcast is. I was just talking shit. But so you said a new album come out too, like on all platforms.
Oh, my new album?
Yeah, you said an album came out like last week or this week, or when was it?
True, it came out this past Saturday, so a couple days ago, actually. Yeah, it's called Hielo, which means ice in Spanish. So you can stream it on all platforms. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, it's been in the vault for a while, and I think I was waiting to release it for like the right time. Some of these songs I've even had over a year, but I was just like waiting for the perfect time because I thought, oh, it'll be right after a big feature, and by that point I'll have found enough money and investment from others to like really drive this thing home. And you kind of realize, especially with the pandemic, all this shit that just kind of happens out of nowhere, you're like, damn, there's always going to be fuckery afoot, and so you should just kind of do it now, always, as like a mantra.
That's a good fucking point. Like that's a good.
So,
What were you doing in St. Louis recently?
So I was in St. Louis actually the last 4 years because I went to WashU.
Okay, that's down the street. You're like down the street from me. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised by St. Louis, honestly. I never expected to ever, be there, let alone live there for a couple of years. And I feel like the vibe is unique. It's really incredible. I think it's more fun. It's more relaxed. It's definitely a small city. And I think that adds, like, it's part of the branding. You're like part of a smaller community. And
yeah, it's like a small
for example,
city.
St. Louis, bro, get the fuck out of here. It's too fire. Like I know in NOLA they go crazy with the beads and massive crowds and stuff, but it's like, but St. Louis just like kicks it in between the brick alleys. Like it's kind of its own level.
No, I like that.
Appreciated that.
What'd you go to WashU for? Like, so you're smarter than me?
No, definitely not.
That's a good fucking school. That's a good school.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I definitely worked my ass off in high school. I actually was also an athlete, and I think that's really what contributed to my getting into WashU at the end. I was a rower in high school, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, so and I went to nationals one year and performed like good enough to get some eyes from WashU. So that's how it went down. And yeah, I actually majored in marketing and Latin American studies because I speak Spanish, and it's just something that kind of felt like it came natural. But over the course of my college career, I was traveling more and more for music and like events that I had that I just couldn't turn down, because I understand that I have to be there and finish my degree. And like, I was kind of focused on that as an end. But are you going to say no to going to Atlanta for like a business conference or like a show in Miami? Like, how could I do that to myself in the grand scheme of life? Like, you got to take those opportunities as they come. So that's kind of the mentality I had. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, I guess I'm just going to have to miss some school. And I would talk to professors, and some were understanding. Like, some would let me like do Zoom presentations and stuff like that when I had to present. But I would always get bad grades just for being remote. Not always, but there's like a couple bigger exams that led me to ultimately drop marketing altogether. And so I finished out as a Latin American studies major, and I'm using that now kind of in my music, to be honest. Like it's weird to say that, but that's how it ended up. It's because it kind of gave me a fuller understanding of like my history and my family's kind of culture. And more importantly, the way that culture impacts like my experience as an American, second generation on both sides. So, damn, yeah, sorry. I feel like I just threw a lot at you.
That was good,
That's
though. It was all good. No, I caught it. So, what culture? Where's your family from? Like originally before America?
So, my dad's British and my mom's from Argentina. So that's where the Spanish comes from. Because my dad and my mom both early on decided that they were only gonna speak to us in Spanish. And my dad had been learning Spanish at this point, so I still speak English with him. But he learned it, and now he only speaks it with my youngest sister. So both my parents only speak Spanish with my youngest sister. But it was my first language, so I feel like all that muscle memory, sometimes I find myself saying words a little bit like differently, and it's just because the way that like my speech formed at such an early age, speaking Spanish, also having like friends who are like Hispanic because of like the groups of kids that I would play with when I was littler. But it's different when you're in the US because it's kind of like an enclave of like different Hispanic countries and their immigrants to the US. So like a lot of the Spanish that I speak and like the slang that I use, and sometimes the accents that kind of come into the Spanish vernacular are like Dominican, Puerto Rican, Colombian. One of my closest friends is Ecuadorian. Like stuff like that happens where the accents kind of get mixed up. And it works well with the like music element of it too, because that's become very Americanized. Like with Justin Bieber, I mean, it sucks that he was the guy who kind of took Spanish music into the mainstream, but he kind of did it with Despacito. Like he got such an amazingly large audience to fuck with that it's essentially been a staple in our pop culture since. Like there's always been a Spanish song on the charts, and guys like Bad Bunny are making like big moves, like Grammys. Daddy Yankee. All these guys are getting more of like an American and English speaking reputation for their music, which wasn't the case in the past.
No, it's super smart because half the Western world. Most of the Western world speaks Spanish. So that's very interesting. I tried to take it in college. I'm an idiot. So I respect anybody who knows multiple languages. Like I didn't get very far in Spanish class. I tried to take it twice and dropped it twice. I'm an idiot. So like I said, I definitely respect anybody who knows multiple languages.
I felt like school wasn't good for me either in a lot of ways. So I respect that.
I tried.
You're living.
I tried because like the culture is awesome. Like South America speaks entirely Spanish. Like, wow, where your family's from and shit. So it's just interesting, and it gives you an upper hand, man. Like you said, like that your multiple markets. Now you have access to every country on this hemisphere, and then Spain and fucking like whatever else speaks Spanish on the Eastern Hemisphere. It's good. That's a good advantage, honestly, especially to be that young speaking multiple languages.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think like the video maybe ran.
That's how podcast goes. Yeah, just how podcast goes.
All right, got you.
But no, that's
yeah. Definitely comes to my mind a lot when I'm doing marketing campaigns or when I'm thinking about like the content that I'm making, because in a lot of ways, the Spanish-speaking audience is a lot both bigger and more accessible than my English-speaking audience. Like I feel like the stuff that has really given me the bumps I needed to get visibility in my like path so far have been pushed by like the Latin American markets, frankly, more so than like American cities. And I think that that's kind of changing up now because this feature with Snoopdoog definitely gave me some legitimacy in certain areas in the US that have since kind of like bumped me up stream-wise. But initially, it was the Latin American kids who were fucking with me heavy like that. So it's weird. But I live in the US, so I'm surrounded with peers who aren't necessarily as hip to it as some of the countries that I would be visiting if it weren't for fucking COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's weird being an artist in America because you're taken more seriously on the globe too. So they're like, oh, he's a rapper from America. So like people from other countries will just take it immediately more seriously than like when I live here, and I'm trying to I do entertainment as well. So it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I do this. And people are like, oh yeah, you do that. Like it remembers like their one friend in their garage never did shit, rather than like we go and like when we tell people we're in entertainment in America, they're like, we sound like lowest common denominator almost. But when we say we're in entertainment to other countries, they get so fucking hyped, man. Like Europe gets hyped, like South America gets hyped, like all these places just get hyped. They'd be hyped to meet anybody in the entertainment, So it's like it's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've never really thought about that, but I guess it's because of like the infrastructure. This is a total generalization, but I feel like maybe the American infrastructure is still just like so entrenched with our economy in ways that maybe it isn't in other countries. Because we've been like at the forefront of media, just kind of in all things, at least from the perspective of like the Hot 100. Like when I'm in Argentina, they definitely have a lot of music that's not in rotation in the US, but you still hear a Drake song,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
stick
they have
around
local
long
music
enough-
still.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely an interesting discussion because it's kind of fucked up that just because you're from the U.S., like you could get potentially labeled as like a legitimate media force ahead of someone who isn't. And I think in a lot of places it's not true anymore. Like K-pop, I feel like a lot of those guys are way bigger than most like A-list American artists would like ever be from just a numbers standpoint.
Yeah, porn stars too, man. Like they have like billions of views, and like nobody takes them seriously yet. It's so weird. Like Nikki Delano will have like fucking 32 million views on a video or some shit, and like nobody even takes him seriously as I mean, some people take him seriously as a celebrity, but American culture is very like prude and sexist taboo, I guess. But I think like rap's the same as like comedy was. Like as a comedian, I'd tour, and then I'd be like, they're like, oh, he's from St. Louis. I'd be in like fucking Oregon or some shit, and they'd be like, oh, he's from St. Louis. Like, oh my god. So I think it's the same in rap too. If you're like touring as a rapper, I think people take you more seriously too than your hometown. I don't know how it is for you, but like that's how it seemed for me. Like anytime I travel, you're like fucking royalty, and then in your hometown, it's like, oh yeah, it's that kid who does comedy.
Damn, bro. Okay, I'm glad you feel that way too. Honestly, I'm glad you feel that way too, because I don't know a lot of people who are in that position like us, I guess, where hometown shows aren't as lit sometimes as some of the cities you go to. Like I feel that. For me, it's Chicago. St. Louis is fun because some of my college friends are there, but Chicago is where I've gotten like the most love, and it's really weird because it's like half a continent away from where I grew up, and half a continent away from where I chose to live now, which is LA.
Okay, so you're in LA now. What part of LA are you from? If that's not too revealing to people watching.
I'm living in Mid-City right now, so I'm not like Beverly Hills or anything like that.
No, it's still cool. I'm still in the game.
It's honestly pretty hard to afford living there in COVID. I'm actually in Boston at the moment because I have a job here to help pay my LA rent. I mean, I'm still making music and shit. Like I'm at the studio, but
no, I got it. We got to do a million things right now because there's no functioning economy.
yeah.
like they banned small business.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a different subject, but
we'll see. Like shit's about to change. Today's inauguration day. We don't know what's around the corner. We'll see. Like big things are coming one way or another.
I feel that too, and I hope it's good. I hope it's all good because I definitely feel like a renaissance or I feel a civil war. I'm not sure which way it's going. Like,
I'm optimistic. I'm hoping for a renaissance.
Same. Same. I'm a believer in optimism.
I hope that we've moved past the point where like all of history has been teaching essentially its students to look at these patterns and apply them to your trajectory. And I think we're at the point where we're finally kind of listening to that shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
like we argue on the internet now, not in real life. Like in the 1800s, we'd be like people would be shot already probably in the 1800s, but now we're like, no, fuck you, but on the internet, and then blocking people. Like the Second American Civil War would be fought on the internet.
It's so fucked up, and I wonder how much of it is really about the politics, and how much of it is just about emotion, frankly.
All of it's emotion. I think you nailed it. I think you fucking nailed it. I mean, I think emotion comes in through politics, so maybe arguably both. But I think emotion's huge. I mean, yeah, it's like people forgot how to fucking love each other and shit. It's like, so you can't be yelling at everybody all day, It's like, Jesus, take a fucking break.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think they need people
like personally for myself, I've that is avoid Twitter. Like I have a Twitter, but I'm never on that shit because I know that that's a rabbit hole. As soon as you look at that, that's when you get the doom complex, or at least that's what I've been noticing.
No, it's fun. No, I'm on Twitter a lot, and it makes me laugh because you're right. It's I'll feel like I'll be like we're in, I'll be like, this is the decline of the Western Empire, and then I'm like buy this protein drink. Like I have like sponsors still, so it's like I'm like ranting about the free world, and then I'm like oh yeah, by the way, you might want to buy this fucking protein bar or whatever the fuck, It's like it's funny. So anyway, back to the actual interview. I
love the divergence.
No,
it's
me
all
too.
part of the vibe.
No,
establishing I would say professional relationship, but it's more than that because it's an entertainment-based relationship, So there's always room for vibes in the establishment of that kind of relationship.
No, for sure. I like your energy, man. I agree with that. People take shit way too fucking seriously. I like it. It's like, but no, it's good. I like seeing you fucking kill it, man. So, how did you get in contact? I guess how did you get in contact with Snoop Dogg? That just naturally happened. You got a manager? What? Or you dream? Or what?
Essentially, the story behind the Snoop feature is that I started off by like doing contests. I guess from
Okay.
like when I was thinking about how do I really take this to the next level, because I've been making music since I was like a little kid, and I started making music like electronic shit, meaning like you're like producing and recording that type of stuff. I started doing in middle school, so I'd
Oh
been
damn.
in the craft element of it for a long time, and I always wanted to like have a ton of people listen to my shit. Like that's what every artist wants, is for like your voice to be heard, essentially. But I didn't really know how to go about it. Part of that is because I never had social media until I was a senior in high school. So I didn't have like a smartphone or like a computer or any of that shit until really late in the game. Which, as a sidetrack, has like been a really tough skill to learn as like, a my-aged individual, like 3 years behind the text culture.
That's weird, because in your generation, I guess like everyone had like social media in fucking middle school and shit, I guess, huh? That's weird. Yeah, I didn't have this may date me. I'm like 34, so it's like I had a MySpace in like a year after I graduated high school. Like, so social media didn't even fucking exist till after I graduated by a year. So I have the same perspective of social media as you by default, because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Fair. I mean, living the experience is enough, and I think you basically avoided that by having those years where you're still figuring out how to successfully, engage with other people. If that is interfered with by a parallel sort of evolution of like mentality that happens when you're just always on the internet, you
Yeah.
have this sort of parallel awareness of your own flaws and of the like fallbacks of your life, because you're always seeing positives from others. And obviously I feel like, fall into that trap ourselves, because every entertainer, every business person, I mean, it's your responsibility to use these tools to your advantage if you're really trying to be in the game like that. So you've got to be in the social media cut, and that can be devastating from like an entertainer's standpoint.
No, I agree. It sucks that we have to pay attention. Like I don't think I'd even have social media if I wasn't doing like podcast. I think like the advantage is I get to meet people across the world like yourself, and like get new artists and stuff, and like really got a good vibe for podcasts. But disadvantage is I'm just staring at a fucking phone and I'm 34. It's like I need to. I feel like a child using social media. It's kind of weird, but I think like it's good though. I mean, I think that's how you reach out to fans. It's how like I mean, it makes so many other things possible for being a lazy person like myself. Like, I literally just sit here and talk to a shit ton of people rather than have to do anything.
No, I feel you, but this is still a tough job. Even like socializing online can be a struggle for some people. And I know that, especially like with younger kids who maybe are just like growing up right now, like as toddlers or whatever. And that's like a full year out of, say, your 4 years. That's a quarter of your life. You haven't interacted with another human other than your parents. Like, that's going to fuck some kids up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So some of them are smart, but I can see some getting fucked up. Like my niece has a newer iPhone than I do, and she's like fucking 8 or something. Some people are good with it, but some people are bullshit. I can see, that affecting like that the social skills for sure. I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah. And I mean, that's unfortunate, but it's going to keep happening. And essentially, that's what happened with me in high school. Not to, I'm diverting from the diversion, getting back to the main plot. That sort of led me to question, like, what are my real avenues to get like my music out there now that I'm like a new social media user. I didn't really know about the intricacies of the culture enough for me to like make posts that get good engagement, and like there's an algorithm, all that shit. It takes years for you to figure that shit out. I don't know if people like actually think about that, but that's a lot of information that you have to basically learn as you go. And I did. And one of the things I did was do a bunch of contests. So I started going out for contests, and then I started winning. And in college is when I started winning. And then I was like on a hot streak, and that's kind of what led to me traveling for shows and traveling for like events and panels and shit like that. Going to fucking Mexico, shooting music videos with radio stations and shit like that. All that stuff happened because of the contest, and Snoop was no different. Because essentially what happened was, in the wake of this busyness, everything kind of came crashing down with COVID, and then there wasn't really much left. And so this was the time when the Snoop feature kind of needed to happen. You know what I'm saying? It made sense. And there was a contest that was available that I saw was being run for Snoop verse. And I was like, bro, it's over.
That's smart. Yeah, no, when you're young, you got to be doing that shit, and then all of a sudden you'll just be so far into it. Like, you know what I mean, like, I think that's, I mean, that's smart, man. I think like, that's smart that you're able to take advantage of the opportunities like that. Like, you mean, like,
I did it. And I think like for me personally, it was a big moment because it kind of proves to me that every step of the way has its value. Once you can hit something tangible, like being on a song with someone you listened to when you were like a little kid, I think that's kind of you break that ribbon and you're like, all right, now that I hit step one, what's step two?
ha.
Like, let's get there.
No, I
And
agree.
so
That's how I view entertainment too. That's funny.
yeah, fuck
That's
yeah.
like one foot right in front of the other type shit. Like, yeah, no, I view it the same way. It's interesting, like how similar rap is to comedy. Like, I always think that, like, because you're basically doing
Yeah,
the same thing.
what was your path to comedy?
I made fun of people on the internet really bad all the time, and then I
Oh,
got
really?
and then I got verified. Do what?
You have a commentary channel? I mean, I've watched your videos obviously before we got on this call,
Well, no,
but like, what you like? When
no, I
it's
got the
not
podcast
interviewing?
later. I got the podcast later whenever I got into a relationship where I didn't tour as much. But I'm like old, you know what I mean? So it's like it's funny. You're in your 20s, it's fucking awesome. Traveling in your 30s, I'm like I'd rather just fucking eat a steak or something. It's like, I'm just lazy. But I think like
In general too, so I feel you.
yeah, no, it's a young man's game. Like touring in your 20s, there's nothing fucking better than that. You're living the fucking life right now, doing your shit. I mean, well, not during COVID, but like, you know what I mean? When the world's not shut down. But no, through comedy, like, I was making fun of people on the internet, and I got I basically just got 1 million followers on Facebook, and then like got verified and stuff. I've since been deleted, but millions of times since. But I basically I would just talk shit all the time for fun, and like I'm like, you know what I mean? I do the same shit in real life, but I did it on Facebook also. Like I'm just like I just fucking make fun of everybody for fun, like basically myself too. It's not like I'm like fucking. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I just think it's funny to make fun of people.
Fair enough. Hey, I mean, as long as you're doing something that others find value in,
Yeah,
nothing
somehow.
else could.
Yeah, I have no idea. I question the value of it, but other people don't.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it looks like everything you've been doing has been super successful. You know, like from looking through your stuff and seeing your interviews and your progression, like it looks pretty incredible too, bro.
No,
I'm glad that you called me to be on. I really appreciate it.
no, I
Also,
saw.
what is your like, who designed that for you? Like, is that your brand? Is that your profile picture? What's like,
That's
give me
funny.
the point list.
It's funny you asked that, man. I think the interview. I think we switched spots in the interview. I like this. But no. So that logo. I ran for U.S. Congress, and I ran for Congress, and that's my congressional logo.
You
Yeah,
genuinely,
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw a post of yours or something like that, and I was like, oh, maybe he's making a goof. But you straight up ran. That's
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable.
I came in second.
Congratulations.
I came in second place. I only spent $28, and this image was actually on the news. Like this image was actually my picture on the news was this fucking like sketch. Like they put it. They're like Anthony Rogers wins primary, and
I feel like I should have known that coming in, but that's an incredible piece of information to learn.
that's why it's still that just makes me laugh. It just looks funny behind me. And like I like the shitty background. I like that it glitches. It just makes me laugh that it fucking glitches and it's shitty. But we have quality guests. I mean, you fucking doing songs with Snoopdoog and shit. And I mean, the people we're interviewing are fucking huge. So it's like, it's just funny to have like a shitty kind of show with like visually, like I don't know, the child in me make laughs about it.
I think what's so striking about it is that like at the position you are right now, you are the same size as that cartoon.
That is funny, man.
And the beard and the butt, and you're like kind of facing the same way. It's an incredible effect.
That's hilarious. I appreciate that, man. What song should we play for the people like after this? Like, what do you think they should hear first? Like your new one of your new songs or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still trying to figure out what people are liking from me, you know. So ideally, I'd like to pick something that's going to be the most accessible to your audience. I'm not sure. Let's talk about it maybe in the emails afterwards.
Okay, and then if you're watching,
Throw whatever song.
cool, yeah. And if you're watching or
It'll be
listening,
exciting.
yeah, it'll be a complete fucking surprise if you're watching or listening to this. And then and then if you're
Hours of like plotting and going back and forth. No,
you're gonna hear one of Evan's songs after this interview. And then if you're listening on streaming services like audio, they'll be in the info. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, will also just be in the fucking info. So there'll be a link to his song if you like what you hear after this after you hear it on this show. Follow him on fucking everything like Spotify, Instagram. Yeah, do you want to throw out some links for people before we get out of here and go into the song?
Sure. I mean, in terms of like links, we can put them in the description. And in
Yeah, I'll
terms
put
of
whatever you say there too.
on all accounts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, hit me up, find me if you're genuinely interested, even mildly, because you never know, I might surprise you with some content that you like outside of just like music. Sometimes people just like vibing, and I think that I exude a pretty good vibe, even through just like my socials and my music. So hop on if you feel inclined. That's for the listeners, by the way, not for you. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Had to get a new phone, that's the business. Never get a moment alone, that's the business. They try to buy up my soul, that's the business. Yeah, had to fight for control, that's the business. I'm working the stage, they know I'm in the city and they want me to stay. I see a couple cuties and they calling my name. What else can I say? Except that's the business. Rompe, rompe, dime que tu nombre. Sigo cocinando si mi gente tiene nombre. Soy un hombre, a veces olvido lo que soy. Aprendiendo lo que cuesta, quiero alcanzar mi gol. Terminado siendo estudiante, soy el profesor. Trying to live up on the billboard. Baby, what's it for? I remember sleeping on the floor. There's a lot to learn, a lot to burn, but check the score. Had to get a new phone, that's the business. Never get a moment alone, that's the business. They try to buy up my soul, that's the business. Yeah, had to fight for control, that's the business. I'm working the stage, they know I'm in the city and they want me to stay. I see a couple cuties and they calling my name. What else can I say? Except that's the business.
Motherfucker just lax and chill. Black Mac in the Laxaville with 20 kills. More at it, more patted, more V's. And saying shit niggas wouldn't believe. Oh nigga please, I'm taking a chance. And then a nigga fell in love with a go-go dancer. Give it all you got, hold your ground, keep your faith and stay high.
Had to get a new phone, that's the business. Never get a moment alone, that's the business. They try to buy up my soul, that's the business. Yeah, had to fight for control, that's the business. I'm working the stage, they know I'm in the city and they want me to stay. I see a couple cuties and they calling my name. What else can I say? Except that's the business.